In order for me to keep working on this table, I need to make some pretty drastic changes. Not really. This looks way scarier than it is. We're just cutting cardboard. We can always glue it back together later. Part of making stuff is recognizing when things aren't going quite right and steering back the course into something more manageable. If you make something once, you can make it again, so don't be scared to make scary choices. You gotta have trust in yourself. So we're going to do a little Q&A. I asked on Instagram for some questions and, well, you delivered. And I want to answer as many of them as I can, as thoughtfully as I can. So here goes. How do you find the time between a job and a social life to work on your hobby? I would recommend joining or starting a club because then you get to socialize while you do your hobby, but also it becoming a part of your routine makes it easier to find time for it. So my plan with this table is to turn every sort of piece that I have at the moment into its own little diorama, and then at the end, connect them all together. I'm going to use foam because it's a pretty strong foundation, it's light, and we can glue this onto whatever our table ends up being made out of. I keep skipping from project to project without finishing one. Any tips on finishing? Yes, deadlines. Deadlines are your friend. Do things that involve deadlines. Competitions, events, meetups, or invite people over to play a game and you got to get stuff done. So I think a nice heavy bead on the outside so I can make a nice seamless joint. It can be messy because we're just going to cover this up with like a filler, some sort of joint compound anyway. And then bang that on. This is multi-purpose adhesive, and sometimes I just use this as a filler. It just doesn't dry with as much flex as a filler would. I'm kind of vibing this on cardboard, so we're just going to trim it up a bit. How do you find a unique voice/style? I think what you got to do is find a bunch of people you're inspired by and steal a little bit of each of them and put them into your own projects. And that amalgamation of different ideas and styles will develop into something interesting. But you got to recognize when you're stealing too much. And generally someone will tell you and you got to listen. If you lick your finger, the hot glue shouldn't burn you. Shouldn't. Obviously you shouldn't do that, but I do. How to overcome art/artist's block. Okay, I actually brought something here today that is perfect for this. Okay, check this out. In this box, I decided to put any time I had like an idea or something when I was busy working on a project already. And I didn't do this for very long, but I got enough things here that are maybe worth sharing. So what's this? Okay, this one just says, what's in my acetone? That's because I had like this mystery bottle of acetone with models stripping in it. I don't know where that is, but that bloody reminds me. All right, what's in our paint stripper? It's kind of like what's in my acetone, but I don't know if this is gonna be okay. Now this model was absolutely caked with primer, if you can remember, and all the previous paint layers are all revealing themselves right now. Oh. We're certainly making a lot more progress than when you last saw it, but I think this has got to go back in. So there you go, the little inspiration collection has worked. I'll show you a couple other things in there. Tanner's Bounty Hunter game. Oh, that's referring to Wanted Reward CC 10,000. 3 bounty hunters from failed mascots. And then there's a drawing of a Burger Man mascot with a flamer. Kind of sick. Fixing the walking house. Did that one. Trench Crusade to Trader Guard. That would have been a good one, but... Chaos Rhino from Space Marine Rhino. That's an idea I want to do. So before this vlog, before I just named it Trent Holbrook, I wanted to call it Secret Tunnel, and this has some ideas of videos that I wanted to do. Toolbox Tour of Studio, Cursed Dry Brush Pellet. I don't know what that was, but that sounds fun. Oh, cheapest Orc Tank conversion, World War II base. Hey, that's pretty good. We made that. Converting a Space Marine Dreadnought into Chaos. That's also something I want to do. I don't know, there's a bunch more. You don't need to see them all. Now the thing is that I wrote down all those ideas, and I even did little drawings for them because I was excited at that time, but I was also working on other projects and I couldn't be distracted because I needed to get things done because deadlines are also important and I had obligations with those projects. And, you know, when it rains, it pours when it comes to ideas. And then some days you don't have any. And that's when those boxes of weird ideas come in handy. Feel free to steal any of those ideas if it helps you get motivated too, you know. And honestly, I think community is a really great way to get inspired and do stuff. And very early in my hobbying, I got involved with online communities. Like on the old mini wargaming forums and stuff, there used to be like community death matches, terrain death matches, where two people would have a theme and they'd be put up against each other and the community would vote. And I used to love doing that sort of stuff. See if there's a community around you. You know, Discord is a great one. I've got a Discord server that you can join in the description. Also, best kit for converting. I love kit bashing with old GW kits, but the scale is whack. Any tips for getting past this? Any third-party kits I could kit bash into Gene Stealer cults? Osprey Publishing and North Star Military Figures, they release some of the best kits for kit bashing ever. And I tell you why. What I love about what they're doing with Frostgrave and Stargrave kits, I don't know if they make any more kits like this, is they produce two kits. One is male presenting figures and the other one is female presenting figures. And that means that you can use sci-fi and fantasy bits together and they're all going to be compatible. But it also means you have two different scales because they do different proportions for each of those kits. This kit bash I did for my Gene Stealer cults, this is part Stargrave model and part GW stuff. And I just picked the parts which match the proportion, regardless of what kit it came from. Same with this one. This one's also a combination of GW bits and also Stargrave stuff. If a company makes multi-part plastic kits that are interesting, not just military stuff, let me know. Leave a comment, please.